Welcome back, seekers of wisdom, to day 19 of our 30-day Wisdom Quest Challenge. In our last session, we delved into the profound alchemy of the human spirit, exploring how the lead of our adversity can be transformed into the gold of our wisdom. We learned that our greatest challenges are often the crucibles in which our strongest selves are forged. But this transformation, this great work, is not a one-time event. It is a moment-to-moment practice. The truest test of our wisdom comes not in a quiet workshop, but in the chaotic marketplace of daily life, in the heat of a difficult conversation, in the face of an unexpected frustration. What good is a heart of gold if it is still rattled by every passing slight, if our hands still clench and our voice still sharpens in response to the slightest trigger? Today, we journey from the forge of transformation to the temple of inner peace. We will explore the subtle, powerful, and life-altering art of mastering the space between what happens to us and how we respond. We are here to learn the art of non-reaction, responding wisely, not impulsively. Imagine you are standing in a vast, silent canyon. You shout a word of anger, and the canyon walls instantly, unthinkingly, hurl that anger back at you. You cry out in fear, and the echo of fear returns. You whisper a word of love, and love is what you hear in return. For many of us, our inner life is like this canyon. We are living as echoes of our own experiences, trapped in a pattern of automatic, unthinking reaction. An insult is met with an insult. A frustration is met with a flash of rage. A desire is met with an impulsive grasp. But what if we could learn to stand in the canyon, to hear the stimulus of the world, and choose not to be an echo? What if we could learn to hold that space, that sacred pause, and decide with intention and wisdom what we wish to send back into the world? This is the art of the conscious response, and it is the foundation of all true self-control and emotional intelligence. Our story today is an allegory. It takes place in a magnificent and chaotic metropolis known as the City of Echoes. It was a city of brilliant artisans, fiery poets, and ingenious inventors, a place of immense creative energy. But it was also a place of constant, low-grade chaos and suffering. This was because every citizen in the City of Echoes was physically tethered to a personal echo, a shadowy, translucent, spectral figure that was a perfect mirror of their own inner reactive state. The echo had no mind of its own. It was pure, unthinking impulse. When a person felt a surge of anger, their echo would lash out with spectral fists. When a person felt a pang of fear or insecurity, their echo would cringe and try to flee. When a person felt a spike of desire, their echo would grasp with desperate, shadowy hands. Life in the City of Echoes was a constant, exhausting performance of these impulsive reactions. Arguments would spiral into street-wide brawls of shimmering, translucent figures. A crowded marketplace was a nightmare of grasping, shoving echoes. A romantic dinner could be ruined in an instant if one person's insecurity echo recoiled from an innocent remark made by the other. The city was alive with energy, but it was devoid of peace, for there was no space between feeling and action. In this city lived a young artisan named Kai. He was a luthier, a maker of exquisite stringed instruments, and his skill was undeniable. The instruments he made were beautiful to behold and produced a sound of heartbreaking purity. But Kai's life was a mess. His echo was particularly volatile and strong, a tempestuous storm of reaction that shadowed his every move. He was a man of deep feeling, and therefore his echo was a creature of immense power. A minor criticism of his work from a customer would cause his echo to flare with defensive rage, shouting down the very person he was trying to sell to. A perceived slight from a friend would cause his echo to become sullen and withdrawn for days, poisoning his relationships with silent resentment. His deep longing for companionship would cause his echo to grasp too eagerly, its spectral neediness frightening away potential partners. Kai's great skill was constantly being sabotaged by his lack of impulse control. He saw his echo not as a part of himself, but as a tormentor, a parasitic twin, an enemy to be defeated. His greatest motivation was to find a way to silence or destroy this shadow that was ruining his life. There was a legend in the City of Echoes, a whisper that offered a sliver of hope to those like Kai. It was the story of the Silent Master, who lived at the very top of a tall, quiet, alabaster tower that stood in the exact center of the city, piercing the sky. The tower had no visible doors or windows, and no one knew how one could enter. The legend said that the Silent Master had, through some unknown discipline, utterly vanquished his echo. They said he moved through the world in a state of perfect, unshakable calm, a being of pure action, unburdened by the chaotic shadow of reaction. To the tormented citizens of the city, the Master was a figure of awe and envy. To Kai, he became an obsession. Kai's journey to the tower began after a particularly disastrous day. He had spent a month crafting his finest loot yet for a wealthy patron. On the day of the presentation, the patron, a gruff and impatient man, had pointed out a minuscule imperfection in the wood's grain, a tiny knot no bigger than a pinprick. The criticism was a stimulus. Instantly, Kai's echo, fueled by his own deep-seated fear of failure, flared into existence. It was a shimmering figure of pure indignation. While Kai stood frozen in horror, his echo began to shout, defending his perfect craftsmanship, insulting the patron's lack of taste, its voice a spectral boom in the quiet workshop. The patron, offended and unnerved, threw his payment on the floor and stormed out, leaving Kai alone with the ringing silence, the beautiful lute, and his raging, triumphant, and utterly destructive echo. That night, sitting amidst the ruins of his hopes, Kai made a vow. He would find the Silent Master. He would learn the secret to killing his echo, even if it cost him everything. His quest for self-control had begun. He spent weeks studying the tower, searching for a way in. He found none. In his frustration, he simply went to the base of the tower and sat. He did not try to enter. He just sat, day after day, his own echo simmering with impatience beside him. He sat for so long that his own quest became a spectacle. One day, after a week of this silent vigil, a small, almost invisible seam appeared in the alabaster wall. A door had opened. Kai entered and found himself in a single, continuous spiral staircase, lit by an unseen source of gentle light. He climbed for what felt like hours. As he ascended, the chaotic noise of the City of Echoes below began to fade, replaced by a profound and deepening silence. Finally, he reached the top, a simple, circular, open-air chamber with a view of the entire city. In the center sat a serene old man, calmly sipping tea. This was the Silent Master. Kai looked at the Master with awe, and then he looked beside him, expecting to see nothing. But his heart sank. The legend was a lie. The Master did have an echo, but it was unlike any echo Kai had ever seen. It was faint, almost completely transparent, and it rested peacefully beside the Master, looking like a calm, still shadow rather than a raging phantom. It was present, but it was quiet. "You are disappointed," the Master said, his voice calm. He had not looked at Kai, yet he had seen everything. "The legends say you defeated your echo," Kai stammered. "The legends are stories told by people who do not understand the nature of the battle," the Master replied, gesturing for Kai to sit. "One cannot defeat a part of oneself. To declare war on your echo is to declare war on your own heart. It is a war that can never be won, and it is the source of all your suffering. I did not kill my echo. I befriended it." This was the beginning of Kai's true apprenticeship. His initial premise, his entire motivation, was shattered. The goal was not destruction, but integration. This was his first lesson in developing self-awareness. "You see your echo as your enemy," the Master began, his voice patient and clear. "But what is it? It is your raw, untamed energy. It is the part of you that feels the heat of anger, the chill of fear, the ache of longing. It is the repository of your past wounds, the primal instinct that has tried to protect you, however clumsily, your entire life. It is not malicious. It is simply unconscious. Trying to fight it, to suppress it, only makes it stronger and more volatile. When you push it down, it gathers strength in the darkness, only to erupt with even greater force when you are weak. The first step is not to fight it, but to turn and face it with curiosity. For many days, this was all they did. The master taught Kai to simply sit and observe his own echo without judgment, to notice how it flared when a loud noise startled him, how it shrank when he felt a pang of self-doubt, how it reached out when he thought of something he desired. He was learning to see it not as his tormentor, but as a sensitive, living barometer of his own inner state. He was developing the emotional intelligence to recognize his own feelings as they arose. Now for the second lesson, the master said one morning. This is the heart of the art. It is the secret that calms the storm. It is the discovery of the sacred pause. There is a space, he explained, a tiny, infinite space, between the moment the world acts upon you, the stimulus, and the moment your echo reacts. In the city of echoes below, that space is collapsed. It is instantaneous. An insult is spoken, and the echo of anger immediately appears. Our work is to find that space and to make it larger. We must learn to live inside that pause. The master then taught Kai a specific practical technique, a form of what some traditions call the stop practice. He gave Kai a simple set of instructions for the next time he felt his echo beginning to stir. The moment you feel the trigger, the master instructed, S is for stop, do nothing. Freeze every muscle in your body. Do not speak. Do not move. This single act of stopping interrupts the habitual, lightning-fast circuit of reactivity. You are jamming the gears of your impulsive machine. Next, he continued, T is for take a breath. Take one deep, conscious breath. Feel the air enter your body and feel it leave. This is not just a calming gesture. It is a profound physiological reset. It brings your prefrontal cortex, the wise, thinking part of your brain, back online. It tells your nervous system that you are not, in fact, dying. Then, the master said, his voice dropping to a whisper, O is for observe. With that breath of clarity, you must turn your awareness inward and observe your echo. Observe the emotion it is carrying. Is it anger? Fear? Jealousy? Greed? Do not judge it. Do not try to change it. Just name it. Ah, this is anger. Observe the physical sensations. Is your chest tight? Is your stomach churning? Are your fists clenched? You are becoming a curious scientist of your own inner experience. This is the practice of mindfulness. And only then, the master concluded, after you have paused, breathed, and observed, do you come to P, which is for proceed. With the wisdom gained in that sacred pause, you can now make a conscious response instead of an unconscious reaction. You can choose your words. You can choose your actions. You can choose to act from your wisest self, not your most wounded self. You are no longer an echo. You are the voice. The final part of Kai's training involved long dialogues about managing triggers. The master had Kai describe, in painstaking detail, the situations that caused his echo to rage. He spoke of the patron and the flaw in the lute. The master guided him with gentle questions. What was the real fear in that moment, Kai? Was it that the patron was right? Or was it the deeper fear that you are, in fact, not a master of your craft? The patroness comment was merely the wind that rang a bell of self-doubt that was already hanging in your heart. Through these dialogues, Kai began to map out his own inner world, to understand the roots of his reactivity. He learned that most of his triggers were not about the present moment, but were echoes of past pains. Finally, the master deemed him ready for the true test. "I have taught you all I can within the silence of this tower," he said. "But wisdom is not gained in isolation. It is forged in the chaos of the world. Go back down into the city of echoes. Go back to your workshop, to your friends, to your customers. Do not try to avoid your triggers. Seek them out and practice the pause." Kai descended the long spiral staircase, his heart both hopeful and terrified. This was his final examination. He returned to his life, but he was a different man. He was now armed with a technique, a practice for cultivating the space between stimulus and response. The first test came quickly. A merchant, known for his abrasive manner, came to inspect a new instrument. He held it up, plucked a string discordantly, and declared, "The tone is thin. It lacks soul." In the past, this stimulus would have resulted in an instant, catastrophic reaction. Kai felt the familiar, hot surge of anger. He saw, in his mind's eye, his echo flaring to life, its spectral form crackling with indignation, ready to shout. But this time, Kai remembered his training. Stop. He froze. He did not speak. His jaw, which had been about to open, remained closed. Take a breath. He took one long, slow, deep breath, feeling the air cool the fire in his chest. Oh, observe. He turned his awareness inward. He saw his echo, a raging figure of pride and defensiveness. He felt the tightness in his chest and the heat in his face. He named it. This is anger. This is the fear of being seen as inadequate. He observed it without judgment. It was just energy. He let it be there. And then, in the vast, silent space he had created, he chose his next move. Proceed. Instead of reacting from his wounded pride, he responded with calm curiosity. "Thank you for your feedback," Kai said, his voice even and gentle. "Tell me more. What kind of soulfulness are you listening for?" The merchant, taken aback by this conscious response instead of the expected argument, was disarmed. They began a genuine conversation, and by the end, the merchant had not only bought the instrument, but had also commissioned another. As he left, Kai noticed his echo. It was still there, but it was calmer, fainter, as if the energy of its rage, having been observed but not acted upon, had peacefully dissipated. The second test came with a woman he was beginning to care for. They were walking together when she mentioned a fond memory of a former lover. Kai felt an immediate cold pang of jealousy and insecurity. His echo began to contort into a shape of suspicion and fear, ready to make a sarcastic comment or to withdraw into a sullen silence. But again, he practiced. Stop. He halted his step. Take a breath. He breathed deeply into the cold knot in his stomach. Observe. He acknowledged the feeling. This is jealousy. This is the fear of not being good enough. He felt the raw, physical sensation of it. Then, from the space of that pause, he chose his response. Instead of lashing out or shutting down, he spoke his truth with vulnerability. "I feel a little jealous when I hear that," he said with a small, honest smile. "I care about you a great." She was so touched by his honesty. An emotional intelligence that she took his hand, and their connection deepened in a way it never could have through a reactive defense. His echo, having been seen and acknowledged, softened. With each successful practice, Kai's relationship with his echo changed. He no longer saw it as an enemy to be fought. He saw it as a messenger, a signal from his own heart about his deepest fears and needs. By pausing to listen to the message instead of just reacting to the noise, he learned to integrate its energy. His echo did not disappear, but it was tamed. It transformed from a raging phantom into a quiet, transparent shadow, a part of him that was now understood and at peace. He returned to the tower one last time. The master greeted him with a knowing smile. They looked at Kai's echo, which now rested calmly beside him, a mirror of the master's own. He had not killed it. He had befriended it. He had achieved true self-control. "You have learned the great secret," the master said. "True wisdom is not the absence of emotion. It is not a dead, empty calm. It is the space we create around our emotions. It is the freedom to feel anger without being consumed by it, to feel fear without being paralyzed by it, to feel desire without being enslaved by it. It is the art of the conscious response." Kai returned to his workshop for good. He became the most sought-after luthier in the city, not just for the unparalleled skill of his hands, but for the profound peace in his heart. People came to his workshop not just to buy instruments, but to be in his presence. He never preached. He never taught in words. But when a customer was difficult, they saw him pause. When a supplier was late, they saw him breathe. In his quiet, graceful, non-reactive presence, he showed everyone in the chaotic city of echoes that it was possible to hear the noise of the world and to respond not with an echo, but with a beautiful, wise, and intentional note of peace. Epilogue. Kai placed the letter from the silent master back into the folds of his robe, not with ceremony, but with the quiet reverence one might show a seed, not because it was flashy or rare, but because it held the potential to change everything. And he understood then. The master had not taught him what to do, but how to see. The staircase, the silence, the stop practice, none of it was about controlling life. It was about returning to it. Kai resumed his craft, but it was no longer just about instruments. He understood now that every interaction, every moment of conflict or confusion, was itself a kind of string taut, vibrating with potential. And when tuned with awareness, even the discordant could be transformed into music. He worked in silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of full presence. Customers who had once come for the perfection of his woodwork now lingered in the workshop long after their commissions were finished. They asked questions they couldn't ask anywhere else. Questions about life, about love, about how to stop being so afraid. And Kai never claimed to have answers. But he had something rarer: stillness. People would speak, and he would simply pause. He wouldn't rush to fill the silence. He wouldn't feed their echoes. And in that space, they began to hear themselves more clearly. It spread. A fellow luthier once accused him of stealing a client. Kai paused, listened, breathed. He saw the man's trembling hands, heard the fatigue in his voice, saw the wounded echo behind his fury. And instead of defending himself, Kai said, "You must be going through something hard. I can hear it in your voice." The man broke down in tears. They spoke for hours. They became collaborators. Another time, a customer tried to cheat him. In the past, Kai might have unleashed his echo's fury, a righteous defense of fairness. But he paused, breathed, observed, and responded, "If you need help, I'd rather you ask than take. We can work something out." The man looked stunned. He confessed, paid in full, and left with more than a lute. He left with dignity intact. And still, Kai's echo never left him, but it changed. It no longer pounced at every trigger. It no longer fed on every wound. It had grown quiet, watchful, and most astonishing of all, it had begun to mirror not just Kai's wounds, but his wisdom. When Kai paused, it paused. When Kai breathed, it softened. It was no longer a beast of reaction. It was a companion of awareness. And now, dear seeker, we must bring the story home. Because it's not just a fable. It's a mirror. Your life is your own city of echoes. Your mind, a swirling orchestra of noise demands, notifications, misunderstandings, fears, the pull of social comparison, the sting of old wounds that never quite healed. And walking beside you is your own echo, your reactions, your habits, your defensiveness, your learned patterns. You didn't choose most of them. Many were inherited, shaped in childhood, hardened through heartbreak, reinforced by culture. But here's the miracle. You are not your echo. You are the one who hears it. You are the one who can pause. You are the one who can choose what comes next. Think about that. What would your relationships look like if you responded from your values instead of your wounds? What would your inner life feel like if your anger was honored, but no longer given the keys to the car? What kind of world would unfold around you if your very presence made others slow down, reflect, and breathe deeper? This is not a fantasy. This is a discipline, one that begins with the smallest, most overlooked power you possess, the sacred pause. And in that pause, you create space for wisdom, for grace, for choice. You begin to see that your reactions aren't really about the present moment. They're the echoes of old scripts, unexamined fears, and unhealed stories. And here's the invitation. Don't run from your echo. Sit with it. Observe it. Observe. Ask it what it's afraid of, what it's protecting, what it's trying to say. And then meet it with the kindness and clarity of your higher self. Your echo isn't your enemy. It's your apprentice, waiting to be trained by your awareness. But this is not easy work. You will fall. You will forget. You will speak too quickly, lash out, regret. And that's okay, because mastery is not perfection. It is the art of remembering again and again to return to center, to breathe, to observe, to choose. So next time you feel the heat rise in your chest, when your jaw tightens at a critical comment, when your stomach knots from envy, when your hands itch to send that impulsive message, pause, breathe, observe, proceed, not because it's easy, but because this is the path of the wise. And the world does not need more echoes. It needs more voices, clear, centered, awake. You are that voice. Let your presence be a prayer. Let your breath be your anchor. Let your echo become your ally. Let your story, like Kai's, become not one of battle, but of reconciliation. And when people ask what changed, how you became so grounded, so unshakable, you won't need to give a sermon. They'll feel it. In the way you listen, in the way you speak, in the way you pause. And without even realizing it, they'll begin to pause too, because awareness is contagious. And your quiet example may become the beginning of someone else's transformation. That is how we change the world, one pause at a time. So here we are, day 19. You've walked beside Kai through fire and silence. You've glimpsed the space between reaction and response. And now you hold the same keys he holds. Not the key to controlling life, but the key to responding to it with wisdom. So as we close, I ask you this. Where in your life is your echo loudest? Where do you react before you think? Where is the sacred pause missing? And what might your life become if you practiced it just once today? You are not alone in this work. You are part of a quiet lineage, passed not through force, but through presence, the silent master, Kai. And now you. You are not the echo. You are the awareness. You are not the fire. You are the space that holds it. You are not just a student of wisdom. You are becoming its voice. See you tomorrow, seekers. Until then, breathe deep, pause with courage, respond with grace, and carry this truth. You are the calm in the storm. You are the master now. And the city of echoes is listening.